Thank you so much for joining us. Excellent. Yeah, this meeting will be recorded. So if there are, if you'd like to see the replay, we'll be sending that out as well. I'm going to wait a few minutes to make sure everybody gets into the room. All right. Hello, everyone. Hi, Peter. Susanna, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to really here to listen and watch as Erik is going to present getting started with CodeHS. So I'm really excited. My name is Linda. I am a CodeHS PD specialist, and I am just simply here to get us kicked off, and then I'm going to turn it over to Erik here in just a little bit. As you are joining and connecting to the audio and maybe even connecting your video, we're going to go ahead and toss an attendance link into chat. So you're going to see it there on the top right corner of the slide. You can go to codehs.com/getting started-attend. And we'll also have MR throw that into the chat for you. You can go ahead and click that link. All that the attendance link does is just simply lets us know that you are here, and we'll be able to send out certificates with PD hours for you later today. All right, so we still have a few joining us. Hello, David. Thank you so much for those of you throwing some comments into the chat. And while you're getting settled in and we're doing some attendance, tell us a little bit about yourself. So where are you joining us from? And also, what courses do you teach? From Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome, Amy. All right. From Earth, Texas, Sarah, welcome. Huntsville, Alabama, welcome. Welcome, David.
Gwendolyn Denham, Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us today. And hopefully, most, if not all of you are already in summer. Lake Worth, Florida. I used to live in West Palm Beach, so welcome, welcome. I am actually here based out of Melbourne, Florida now. Nice to meet everyone. Ontario, Canada. We have an international, excellent. All right. Thank you so much. We're going to toss that attendance link back into the chat. It looks like our numbers have settled a little bit. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And we are going to kick it off. So Erik, if you can go to the next slide. Thank you so much. If you go back one, yeah, we actually have these slides published for you. So if you are the type of teacher that likes to follow along, take notes, you can get to those slides by going to codehs.com/getting started-slides. You can also access them from the link that MR tossed into the chat here, and make sure that you click the attendance link. The attendance link is also there on that very first slide if you just simply like to click it. All right, everyone. Nice to meet you. So we've been doing this a little bit, but let's introduce ourselves again. What grade levels do you teach or subjects? And do you teach any computer science courses? Maybe you're currently teaching math, or like Lori and myself are an English teacher transitioning to computer science. And also we want to know, have you used CodeHS before, or are you brand new to CodeHS? We'd love to hear from you. Excellent. Angela says she's going to be teaching Arkansas Computer Science 1. First time next year. Actually, a band director. Okay. Excellent. Nice to meet you, Angela. Charlene, let's see. She's teaching AP Computer Science and Computer Science A, Python, brand new to CodeHS. Welcome. All right. Jenny says, can you share the link to the QR code in the chat? Or, okay, we're going to go back to that. So Jenny, if you want to pull your phone out real quick, here's your opportunity to go ahead and scan that. All right, Laura is teaching CSA and CS principles. Played around with CodeHS, also teach math, excellent. Pablo teaches robotics, APCSP, programming yearbook. That is quite the mix of courses, excellent. Yeah, traditionally, most computer science teachers kind of carry multiple preps, so we are here to support you. So 9th through 12th, Algebra 1, special education, cybersecurity, excellent. Finished their first year. Shannon used CodeHS to teach fundamentals of computer science and web design. Welcome. Computer Science 1 and 2, brand new to CodeHS. All right. Excellent. So thank you so much, everyone, for we're going to keep reading your messages, and we hope that, you know, this is going to be a great time for you to get some more tools in your toolbox to be able to teach. If you are brand new to CodeHS, we are so excited to introduce you to Erik because he is an amazing teacher trainer. And today we're going to, after our virtual check-in, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what is CodeHS, kind of what the code editor looks like, the IDE environment. You're going to get to experience a lesson from the student perspective. So you'll be able to see kind of how the lessons are structured, but also how you can deliver the lessons using the platform. We're going to go through the CodeHS course catalog, show you a lot of amazing courses that we have available, including brand new courses this year. I am also going to, Lori is going to walk you through how to create courses in sections and teacher tools and resources. And also, we're going to do some general Q&A at the end. So just know that we have a lot planned for you. And as I hand it over to Erik, you're going to be able to see all sorts of really awesome things that you can do with CodeHS. If you have questions, and now this is, it's tough sometimes to wade through all of the questions in the chat. So what we've done is we've created what's called a question parking lot. This is just a way for us to kind of pool all those questions together. And what's nice about that is that you can see what questions have been answered. We're going to be answering those questions live in this document, and then you can have that available also to kind of get some resources, some knowledge-based articles as well, based around those questions. So again, if you go to codehs.com/getting started-questions, you're going to see that there are two columns, one for the question, and then our support team is here. So I'm going to introduce them actually. MR has been dropping links into the chat, and with us is also Gary and Emily. They will be assisting in that document today. And also, you have not met yet, but I'm going to introduce Lori. She is also PD specialist here with CodeHS, and she is also going to be helping to not only field questions, but also she's going to follow up with an email with all of the recording information, slides, resources, anything you need for today. So if you don't yet have a CodeHS account, you can go to codehs.com/sign up. Make sure you choose teacher or educator, and we will get you set up with a teacher account for CodeHS. So MR, drop that into the chat. And if you haven't created that account yet, go ahead and take a few minutes to do so. This will help with, definitely help with the demo, but also help you to be able to have all of the resources that we'll be talking about today. In addition to signing up, we also have a workshop section for today. And this is just a way for you to experience the course as a student. So it's a really great resource. We're going to drop that into the chat. If you go to codehs.com/go /578A, and I believe that's a 0. You're going to be able to get to that course. You'll see it from the student's perspective, and Erik is going to be sharing out based on that course and navigating through that course with you in order to kind of get you set up to teach with CodeHS this fall. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Erik now. And thank you so much for getting set up and introducing yourselves. Erik, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erik Magness, and I'm a teacher. In fact, I just watched my students walk out of class for the last day of this school year. They were whooping and hollering, and they're gone. I'm here with you in my classroom that's basically bare now, but so we're ready for the summer. I've been teaching for over 25 years now, and actually, I heard a new term. I've been teaching since the late 1900s, is what I've been how long I've been teaching. So my first 20 years as a teacher was in Latin. I was a classics major in undergrad, and then went to graduate school and majored in classical Greek. Started teaching Latin. I taught Latin for 20 years, and then I got to the end of a school year, and I thought, I cannot read the Aeneid and Gallic War for a 21st time. I am done. I am done. I've read these. I've got every word memorized, and so our CS teacher happened to be retiring that year, and I tossed my hat in the ring, and I am holding on for dear life. I'm having a great time doing it. It's quite a fun adventure I've been on these last 5 years. I teach at Villa Maria Academy. This is in southeastern Pennsylvania. It's a Catholic all-girls school, which means on our campus of 600 humans, we have 585 women and a handful of male teachers and facility guys. I'm also in the midst of doing the reading for APCSP right now. So as soon as this is over, I'll be back on scoring for the next 3 days. And in my spare time, that canoe right there, I canoe and kayak all the time I can. And that's a 1975 canoe I managed to find out of a rotting in a barn and restored a couple of years ago as my pandemic project. And I've done a few like that. So I love CodeHS, and I will share some stories today as to how I came to love CodeHS, and it started very early in my CS career here. And just so you know where I'm coming from, there's many ways it can be used for all different teaching styles, but this is the teaching style I'm coming from. I really like to have the classroom be self-guided. They come in, I start them going, and then the students are proactive in their learning. I like to use this strategy called just-in-time learning. If it's a brand new thing, they don't know how to do it, I am not the font that tells them how to do it. There are many other sources. There's the internet, there's a colleague, there's their brain, they can work it out. I'm usually the fourth down the line they come to help them with stuff. I use a lot of paired programming. I was taught to use the Navigator pilot version, and we switch around. I really like that very much. And a term I just kind of created for myself this year is 68 seconds. And it's something I found has worked very effectively the last 3 years. If a student has a question, I acknowledge the hand raise. And in fact, I'll even acknowledge the question. And then I say to them, I'll be with you in a moment. And I just let it hang just for a moment. And then usually, if I just wait just a moment, and I've called it 68 seconds, by the time I'm over there, they go, oh, I figured that out. Fine, I'm good to go. And I love, especially with the population that I teach, they want to have a lack of confidence, but if I can engender confidence that they can do it, then they just get stronger and stronger as the year progresses. What is CodeHS? CodeHS is an incredible platform to support teachers, both with a lot of experience and those like me 5 years ago who came in with no experience. It covers everything you need in a platform for teaching CS to middle school and high school. Actually, 2 years ago, two colleges, two universities in my greater neighborhood sent faculty to my classroom to say, how is it that you are teaching JavaScript and Java and Python? And they came in and they observed the class for the day. And at the end, they said, what is this curriculum you're using? And I said, it's CodeHS. And they were mesmerized. So while it is targeted at middle school and high schools, it is a great tool for many different learning levels. And you'll see a really brand new learning level at the very end of this. So stick around. They got a little there'll be a teaser for the very end. Everything's web-based. It made it great during the pandemic for me to be able to teach distance learning. The softwares and tools they have are incredible and deep and wide. One of the fun things they have is they have these great videos to start each lesson. And these lessons are bite-sized, and there's a narrator telling us how to learn the new thing. And I have my students watch those on their own. And I got into CodeHS maybe in my second year. I was at one of these webinars and people were saying stuff. And I think I said to Lori, I said, I don't know who your narrator is, but my students love the narrator for Carol, who's telling us everything. And she said, funny thing, that's the CEO. That's Jeremy. So there you go. Jeremy has narrated many of these Carol lessons. And so I've never met him, but I've heard his voice for many, many hours in my classroom over the last few years. And you can see how they dynamic beginning to this and engaging all the way through. CodeHS is trying to empower students. That is a term, empower, that I really take to heart in my classroom. Many students come in, I can't do this, I don't know how to do it, I won't be any good at it. My brother's good at it, but I'm no good at it. And my job is to say, no, you will be able to do this. And it's amazing what they can create by the end of a class. Schools don't teach computer science. They want to teach it. How do they teach it? Who's going to teach it? And when I first jumped in as a CS teacher 5 years ago, I went to week after week after week to get myself prepped for the fall, because I was coming in knowing Latin very well and about to teach AP classes. And what was I going to do? So I spent that summer bridging. And in every one of them, people would say, oh, so what class are you teaching next year? And what's your experience? And something like 90% of the people said, I'm teaching whatever my administrator just told me to teach, and I've never taught it before. I'm an English teacher. I'm an Algebra 1 teacher. I don't know. They just told me I've got to do this. And I was one of those, scared. What am I going to do? Of course, I wasn't forced to do it. I had picked my own insanity. But thankfully, the outgoing CS teacher had said to me, you go grab onto CodeHS. It will make your life awesome. And this is the solution for districts and for teachers. If you go in not knowing what to do, they will help you all along the way. In fact, this team that we have with us today, countless times they have pulled me out of the fire when I've come to class and not known what I was doing, or forgotten something I already didn't know, or a student asked me something I didn't know the answer to. And I send out the message in the chat in CodeHS. And normally it says there, because I'm here prior in the morning than they are because of my time zone, it'll say, someone will be available in 2 hours. I'm like, and sure enough, I get MR will email me 2 minutes later saying, oh, here's what you need. So it's unbelievable how they can be so helpful. This is a comprehensive platform. When I started my first year, I had 2 different AP classes meeting at the same time in the same room. And they expected me with no experience to have both CSP and CSA going for the notice for the year. And it is only with CodeHS and its platform that I was able to pull that off. Where I teach in a block scheduling, where I was able to give 40 minutes of attention to one group and then 40 minutes of attention to the other group. And meanwhile, in the off time, I could depend upon the robustness of CodeHS to give them the work they needed, and I can watch them. the tracking tools were good then and are even better now. And I tell the kids straight up, I know how long you spent coding. Like if you coded this and it took you 35 seconds, I'm going to think something was up in your coding right there. I can give them feedback anytime, anywhere, in many different formats. We'll show you that later today. In addition to being comprehensive in a course, it is comprehensive in the types of courses it gives. And this is one of my pet peeves with CodeHS, is that I don't have enough time in the day to teach all these courses. I happen to teach CSA, CSP, web design, Carol, and cybersecurity, and one that's not on here, virtual reality. But there are just so many wonderful ones to do and we'll talk a little later, how do you pick which ones to do and what are the parameters you're looking for when you go through with this. Here are some of the teaching tools. We will point out many of these as this course goes on this afternoon. I'll just jump a couple right now. Right-hand column, fourth one down, badges. Those are heroic in my classroom. We actually do, I don't think I told anybody this, once they've earned their badge, if they have time, I have made shrinky-dink copies of these that the kids can color and we shrinky-dink, and they can wear across their lanyard around school like they're getting their little black belts or something like that. So we have that going all the time. There's many other probably more practical things, but for my students, the shrinky-dink badges are to die for. So just some great stuff here. We're going to jump into one of them right here. And this is the code editor. This is where the students will spend most of their time during a course, especially a coding proper course. And this is the screen that you will see. And it's divided into three sections. The left side here is for navigation and explaining what's going on with the assignment. The center is the IDE itself. And the right-hand side is all the reference materials and tools that the students will need and a lot that the teacher will be able to use. And what you see here is I've jumped into a course, and this is what a student would see if she jumped into the very first lesson of the Carol coding course. She would come in here and there would be a video to watch and a little bit of a quiz, and then this would be her first opportunity to code right here. On the left-hand side of the screen, you see this is the world that we're trying to create. At the bottom of the page, where it says Programming Carol, this is our navigation window. The students can use this to jump through a course by unit or by lesson very, very quickly. And then this quick docs, this is hints and helps of what they can use to successfully accomplish their program for the day. The center here is our IDE proper. There's a little gear where they can come here and edit it, just the appearances and sizes. They can make special for themselves. Here they can save their work. It auto saves for you, so that's okay. Submit and continue. And then as they come in here, they will be able to type in the program as it goes, and they can just code as they go. Then on the right-hand side here, actually, I'm going to start with the third tab over here, which says assignment. This is what will pop up for them. Well, it didn't really pop up here. It'll tell them that this is the assignment. This is the world we want it to come to at the very end. We want Carol to move across here and pick up the ball that's on the screen right here. And then they can come in, if they type something in, they can do their run code. And then here I'll run the code and it'll have Carol move over and then it'll say, we've gotten close, but Carol hasn't gotten quite all the way. And so the student can then come on over here to the IDE and add more. Well, and then run the code again. And then they can also, if it's things not working like they want, you'll see this red light has line up here. They can always check code And here it's going to say, you didn't quite get there all the way. There's some mistake going on in your code. And then they can go back in and check their code. And maybe they'll come in and they'll inadvertently do this, and they'll run their code. And it's going to give them these errors, and so they know exactly how to go back to fix stuff. My favorite tab, my two favorite tabs here are the Docs tab. This Docs tab, and I use this in all my courses on all the levels. If a student ever says to me, I can't get Carol to do this, or if it's a JavaScript class, I don't remember how to do this, or my conditional's not working. 68 seconds later, when I'm over there and they still don't know what's going on, I will say to them, have you looked in the Docs tab? Because this is a comprehensive list of what they could use to help out their process in what they're coding. It gives great examples. It gives great explanations of how they can build their code. And in fact, in each course, as the lessons progress, the Docs menu it grows with them, so they can't ever get too far ahead. There's also the grading tab over here, where a teacher can come in and check the work and pass it and give it different scores, communicate with the students. And then there's the More tab over here. And okay, so the More tab is my best friend. I will get to some of these later, but let me point out two real quick. If a student has actually ever deleted their work inadvertently, the History tab is there to save you. Click on it. It keeps track of all of their work. You just go jump right back into it. And then, of course, my favorite right here is the Solutions tab. The Solutions tab is for teacher eyes only, and it shows a possible solution to that coding. Not all possible solutions. There's, for every kid in the room, there'll be a different code they write, but it gives a possible solution. I really like the Solutions tab for me, not only because it gives me the answer, but in my class, I have students work very independently, and some students, I have a broad variety of levels. And so I will have some students who rocket through a unit, and then they'll have supplemental material for me, and some who don't move quite so quickly. And by using the solution for me, if a kid has a question and calls out the unit 2, lesson 2, I can quickly look at it and remind myself, okay, where are we in the progression of what we're doing here? So that's very, very helpful. Let me jump back over to here. So these slides will take us through some of the this code editor of what we have here, with this left side, which gives our goal in the assignment, the center, which is our IDE, and where the students are going to be doing the vast majority of their work. Notice, I'll point this out later again, the green dots at the bottom of the screen. On the green dots on the bottom of the screen means the student has successfully completed the assignment and gotten full credit for it. My students love the green dot. I do have to explain to them, green dots don't necessarily mean you get a 100. I will go back and check their work, but they do love getting the green dot, and they resist the yellow dot of incompletion as much as possible. For Carol and some of the other coding, you can use block coding. I don't use block coding, but it has its place. And then we did our coding right there. Save as you go, but CodeHS also saves for you, which is very good. The submit and continue, it does two things. It will try to submit, but it will also grade the work for the student to make sure they've done everything correctly before it's actually submitted. If it's not, they'll say, hey, why don't you go and modify your code some more? And then these green activity bubbles, which students love to be green. And then on the right-hand side, the run test cases. We don't have test cases in this one right here, but sometimes your code, the student's code, will have to solve multiple worlds, and that's what the test cases would be for. And then here we talk about the docs tab, which I will say, my students can hear me just say in their nightmares, me saying docs tab, docs tab, docs tab. This is the conversation window. This is the place where if you ever need to talk to a student about their code, and it's not going to be on email or through your LMS, you can type it in right here to the student to communicate to them. Maybe you want to type a suggestion to them or an encouragement. This is a little give and take with the student right here. Here's the history tab for you, so they can just go right back in time to whatever they want to grab. And so that is the IDE, and that's where most of the time is spent. Now, I talked about my teaching style, but this can be fit to any teaching style altogether. And you'll see here, most every lesson starts with a video. Some will have 2 videos, and they will do a small bit of information for the students. You can have them take notes within CodeHS, without of CodeHS. They could do it multiple different ways or not. Then they'll have a brief quiz. This is often 1 to 5 questions just to check, kind of a knowledge check for the video they just watched. I actually don't grade those. I do make sure they do them though. And then the red will be an example for them. And we'll get to many different ways you can use the example code. Often my students want to click right past that. I encourage them to lean on that heavily because that often models the skills, or does model the skills that they will need for the 2 orange things there, the 2 orange coding ones. The first one we just went through together. When we are doing lessons, they start off with the videos themselves. And when they do the videos themselves, I have the students watch them on their own. I have headsets in the class. They watch, they listen, they absorb at their own pace. Sometimes, if it's not a coding lesson, especially for CSP, we can watch the videos as a whole and just do Q&A as we go through the video together as a class. I know some people use them in a flipped method, where they've got students need to have watched them ahead of time, come in, and then they're prepared for the class. You can have a conversation. Ed Puzzle, love Ed Puzzle. Always add those. I also tie these in. My school happens to use Schoology, so I can tie them right into my Schoology LMS, and that can just go right there as well. The video is excellent, but with every video is a matching slide deck. And within CodeHS, they can just click on the top of the screen and choose to read the slide deck individually, which a lot of my students do when they need to go back. If they watch the video, they're working on their coding, they need to go back and check the work. You just go right to the slides. You don't need to listen to everything again. You just go right to that one slide that you need to see what's going on. As I said, a lot of students want to skip over this example part, but these are some great suggestions here. How does the concept work can be used to show them how they can complete the next assignment correctly. Code tracing, and the last one I do most often, hey, it's giving you the code. You can look at it. You can hit run, yay. But I'll say, now make it do this. Let's have this do extra piece. What's the 2 lines of code or 3 lines of code you need to add? Let's make Carol make a second stack. Let's make him put down a ball, and just stretch that example ever so slightly to bridge over to the assignment they're about to have. Now, within CodeHS, there are lots of lesson plans. It's a little maroon piece of paper icon. And when you click on that little maroon piece of paper icon, it will drop down and you can see all these lesson plans that can pop up. They can be for special learners, whether advanced or kids who need a little bit of support. They can have openers. There are worksheets. There's all kinds of options that they give you to kind of grow the class. They also have timers to tell you that this lesson probably should take about 20 minutes. So you can kind of go into your pacing. When I first teach a class, I will take the pacing guide from CodeHS and lay it out in my planner So I kind of see how am I going to fit to the arc of the year. I will say, I do believe CodeHS is very generous in the amount of time they give. I think, so you always, if you follow their time, you'll also have a little time with them. So, oh, also standard alignment. And I happen to be one of the people lucky enough to not have to deal with standards. But if you aren't one of those people, CodeHS has done the work for you here. And so you can just immediately align it with stuff. So let's see here. I think here's what I'd like you to do here. Oh yeah, perfect. Timing is perfect. Let me just show you. If you've had a chance to join our class, we were here going into the first Carol project. And here, I can complete my little code for Carol to go over and pick up the ball and successfully complete. And we can run our code. And Carol walks over, picks up the ball, and we got a little congratulatory message right here at the bottom. And you'll see a couple of things here. We have the reset button. We have the speed button. When the codes get longer, you might want to rabbit it up and have the Carol run really fast. A really helpful tool for debugging is this step back and step forward tool right here. I encourage students, they'll say it's not working. I say, well, make Carol go through the program, step by step. Where is he running into the wall? And we just walk right through and Carol goes through. So now what I'd like you to do is take down here to the second light bulb. If you go into your our CodeHS class, where it says more basic Carol. And here we have the video to watch, the brief quiz, the example, and then 2 little programs to write. You can click on any of those bubbles. You can go right in order and do them all in order. You can jump around and just go and explore for yourself, a little hands-on. How is this IDE working? What is it your students will be seeing when they do this? As you do so, if you want to put any questions either into chat or into the parking lot and ask, we can be here to help you out as we go. We're going to give you about 20 minutes to do this. This will also be a little of a break, a midpoint of our presentation today. And then we'll come back, chat about Carol a little bit, and then move on to the course catalog portion. Linda, Lori, is there anything else I'm missing before we push them away?
I think this is pretty good right now. I will say if anybody needs help getting into the section, definitely drop a note into chat. We can throw that link into chat one more time to enroll in the section. And if you need a CodeHS educator account, we'll throw that link in as well. One of the questions we might be getting is especially if you're new to CodeHS, you might be a little bit confused about where to go to find this course that you've just enrolled in. So if you have created your CodeHS account and you've enrolled in our workshop section, there's a couple of ways to get to the course. If you're seeing that teacher drop down on the left-hand side of your screen, like right where Erik's pointing right now, you can actually change that to student, and that will take you to a list of all the courses that you might have enrolled in, or just this one course. You'll see there on Erik's screen, it says sections taught, sections enrolled as a student, sorry, right up on the top. And so you can click on the course and what did we call your course? Getting started with CodeHS. And so you'll look for that. And then the other way to actually get to it as well is by clicking on My Sections at the top of the page too. If you click on that and look down toward the bottom, you'll see Student Page. And for you, it'll be under Student Page. For Erik, it'll be under Teacher because he's the teacher. And but you'll see that you're enrolled in the course there. So you can click on it there. So I hope that helps. Let us know if you have any trouble navigating around that. We can also send you a link to get into any of those activities once you are enrolled too, and that'll help you get started.
If you want to look over my shoulder as you're working, I'm in the quiz section right now. I do find that my students have some anxiety about getting it right. They want that 4 out of 4 or whatever. And if you look at my screen, I do have there's a reset quiz button. You can always go in, and as I say, I try to make these low pressure. Or sometimes, they misread it or they don't understand it, whatever the case may be. But there is some flexibility in there on the teacher side. I think, Lori, we're still having some people trying to find the assignments.
So we'll go ahead and grab the link for the assignment and we'll throw that into chat. In order to access it from the link to the assignment, you will need to be in the section or enrolled in the section. So I'll keep an eye on that and see if make sure you're in the section. We'll definitely get you in.
So they'll have the 4 questions to do. They hit the little radio buttons. They check their answers. They submit at the end, and it moves them right along. So Angela, right now we're playing around with one of the lessons, the More Carol lesson. If you go into our class, there's a little bubble at the bottom of the screen. It'll look like a little light bulb. If you click on that, if you can work your way into class there, you can just go and kind of mess around with Carol and see how we can code Carol a little bit. I'm right now looking at the example for this lesson where CodeHS has already provided the correct code. And if we hit run, the assignment and the solution are all provided for the students so they can see exactly how it all works. And then within this environment, they can go back. A teacher can expand on this and say, okay, let's put 4 more balls down in the top left corner of the screen. And they can build off of this code and continue trying, experimenting more things. They can also just go in and you just go in and break the code and run it. And it's okay because CodeHS has it nice and saved for us. So you can just, in fact, I encourage the students to break the code to see what is it that's magically working. I'll also show, this is the step forward, which I like very much, where the students you can see exactly the line of code that's being run as Carol is progressing through the code. And as Carol's doing things like jumping over hurdles and running around the screen, it's really nice to see where Carol has crashed. And then this lesson itself has two different coding opportunities for the students. This first one, make a tower. And you can see this is the assignment pane that pops up that they can access from the right side of the IDE. This is showing them where are we at and where are we going. And then we open up and here's our code editor for them. And again, on the right-hand side, this is where we're at. Left-hand side, this is where we're going. And the bottom left, this is going to be the different commands they can use. And as the students progress, they can start writing their code and practicing based on the new languages and the terms that are being used. I happen to be a huge fan of the Carol model. And even with my advanced classes, I like to make them work in the Carol environment because it is so limiting. It helps their logic to be these narrow confines in order to solve what could be very complicated problems. The CodeHS creators have created some quite challenging puzzles and challenges for Carol that even some of my best students cannot complete. And they get wildly frustrated because they want to use some of the capabilities they learned in Java and JavaScript, but Carol doesn't make them. It makes them logic it out in this limited environment. And I think it happens to be really good for them coding wise. In fact, I just finished a unit of that with my AP students. After we finished the AP, the CSA kids, we bring them back into Ultra Carol, and I've got a bunch of stuff I make them work on with that.
Eric, you reminded me of how I got my start with CodeHS as well, as you were talking about that. Back in 2014, I think it was when I happened to find CodeHS, and it was because I had a senior come to me and ask me if I could teach him coding during his study halls. And because he had never had an opportunity to take one of my classes because of scheduling. So I, of course, said yes. And then I thought, oh no, what do I do? So I started Googling to see how I can teach this one student how to code. And I found CodeHS. So I enrolled us both, set up a course, enrolled us both in this course, Intro to CS in JavaScript with Carol. And he and I sat during his study halls every day and we started working through this course. And about 2 weeks in, this student looked at me and said, you know, Ms. G, I thought this was going to be really simple. I thought it's a dog. And I'm stuck.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Here I am typing the wrong stuff. In fact, next year, I have 2 students who want to take a class that our school doesn't offer. And I had to convince our administrator that just squeeze them into the class where I have other students. And I have CodeHS, and I'll just start a course for them, and they will successfully do it because I'll be able to run them on the side. And it helps that they are 2 very eager learners, but they are going to make their way through their own course through CodeHS as I'm, on the side teaching CSA next year. So, so you'll see I'm getting, at the very end of a code, you hit submit continue, it does this little grader for you for the students. It tells them how they did. You can override that as a teacher if you wish, or create more challenges for them as it goes. And it will just automatically, once it completes that, jump them to the next lesson. And here we have Carol. If they ever click off of that, they just go up here to assignment. It'll show them, here's their goal for the class. Here's how they run it. I think maybe we'll give 3 more minutes, then we'll jump into the next portion.
That sounds good to me. So if you'd like to take a break, now would be a great time to step away for a bit, take a stretch break, and we'll get started in just a few short minutes. Unless you'd like to see Erik go through something on his screen yet, I'll go ahead and get ready to talk about the course catalog. So I'll go ahead and share. If you're ready for me to, Erik.
Go for it.
Okay. Bear with me one moment. All right, and we'll get started in just a minute. Go ahead and arrange a couple Zoom things real quick. And for anybody who might have to leave a little bit early, that's not a problem. I will be sending out a follow-up email with the workshop recording and any resources that Erik has used during the workshop today. And Erik, thank you so much for all of the really amazing stuff you've been showing us so far. And it looks like I might be a little bit laggy. I'm going to go ahead and shut my video off just in case that's causing any issues. So I apologize for that, but I think it's a little disconcerting if my words are not matching up to my mouth. So hopefully that's a little bit better. All right. I will say also, and Erik, I might have missed it. I was answering a few questions. I don't know if you mentioned your amazing Indiana Carol saga.
I haven't mentioned it yet. No, yeah.
Well, leave it to me to do that, because
Yeah.
if you've been in a workshop with us before, we always talk about Erik's amazing Indiana Carol problems. So I'm pretty sure Erik and I will be nailing down a date to do a workshop on Indiana Carol a little later this summer. So we will keep all of you posted. You will definitely want to attend. They are an amazing series of problems that Erik has created, and they're all available for you to use. So that's all I'll say about that for right now. We'll leave that for the workshop, but sorry, Erik, I have to talk about them because I love them.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and jump into this. I know Erik's got some other things to share with you after we go through this next section, but we absolutely want to talk about the course catalog. So if you're new to CodeHS, one of the things that we often get asked is, okay, I'm using CodeHS for the first time. I'm a free teacher. I don't know if my school will purchase the pro plan. Can I access any of the courses? Do I have limits on what courses I can access? And we are here to tell you that all of our CodeHS courses are available to all teachers. We do not put limits on the content. Your students, once enrolled in one of these courses, will be able to complete that course in its entirety, whether you are a free or a pro teacher. Let's see, just checking chat. Let's see. Yes, if you have to leave, no problem. That is not a problem. We are recording, and so we will definitely send this out after the workshop is over. I think we'll be sending this out by end of day tomorrow. And if you do have to leave because you lost sound, go ahead and you can log out of Zoom and come back in, and somebody will be here to let you back in. So with the course catalog, we're going to take a little look at this. Let's see, MR, if you could go ahead and toss that link into chat for me, that would be great. You can visit the CodeHS course catalog by browsing to codehs.com/course/catalog. And we will take a look at what we have here. You will see in the course catalog, as you start scrolling through everything, that there are a lot of courses here. We have a ton. I remember when I started back in 2014, using CodeHS in my classroom, there were not nearly this many, but there is still plenty for me to choose from. And now we have probably somewhere around 100, something like that. It's a lot. So if you are new to us, I highly recommend take some time to come to codehs.com/course/catalog and scroll through all of the courses to see what's here and what you might be interested in. I'll show you a few ways to filter this if you know some of the topics you might be looking for. And we can get into, I'm just looking back at chat quickly. David asks, can teachers take a course and get PD hours? There is some paid PD that you would be able to get PD hours for. And for this certificate in particular, for this workshop in particular, I will send out a certificate to anybody who has attended. There's a few other questions landing there. Definitely make sure that you are heading out to that question parking lot. We want to make sure we do not miss any questions. So Emily went ahead and tossed that link into chat. So if you could head out there and throw those questions there. And if the team sees a question I should answer in real time, they'll definitely let me know. All right. So in the course catalog, we can filter by a few different ways. We can, first of all, filter by these different tags. We can see all of the courses by default. We can filter by Java. We can filter by Python, JavaScript, and then we even have some state courses, Hour of Code, Interdisciplinary, Spanish, and we'll continue taking a look at those in just a moment. So if I go back to all, what we're going to see first is this course that Erik has been working in. This is our flagship course, Intro to Computer Science and JavaScript. And this is that version that has Carol the dog. And that's what you've all been working in right now as well. And so this is one of the courses that is a great intro level course. This is one that I have used with high school kids. This is what I used with that senior who wanted to take some programming. This is also one that I've used with middle school kids as well. Very accessible course, and I'd highly recommend checking this out. It is a great entry point into CodeHS and into programming. One of my personal favorites happens to be Intro to Computer Science in Python 3. I just happen to love the Python language. And a little side note, this is actually a course that, or a language that I learned because I learned it through CodeHS. You'll actually see when you go to the catalog, some of the options here. One of those is enroll. You'll notice that when you click on that, it will actually enroll you in that course. So you can go through a course just as your students would. This is a great way to expand your computer science knowledge. If you are new to the field, if you're new to programming, this is an awesome way to really strengthen your skills. This is exactly how I learned Python 3. And as a side note, I was an English teacher in a former life, so I did not start in computer science. And now this is what I do, all because of CodeHS. So we have those two introductory courses. You can see we've got APCSA. This Nitro version is the one that's aligned with the College Board. We have 3 different APCSP courses. We have JavaScript, we have Python, and we have one that is also the APCSP course that we all know and love that we use for the College Board, but this one has a cybersecurity focus. It actually has additional lessons that we developed in partnership with Insight. You can actually come out and grab those lessons and include those in other courses that you might want to use. And one more, well, maybe a couple more courses that I'll point out. I get too excited about this. So computing ideas is also one that I really love. I've used the Exploring Computer Science curriculum in the past. And when I found computing ideas, this one very much matched ECS. And so if we've got any ECS folks out there, I'd recommend taking a look at computing ideas. This is a great foundational course to really expose your kids to a lot of different computer science topics. Web design, web dev, cybersecurity. Yeah, if I keep going, I'll just keep talking about all of them, and then Erik will have no time to show you the cool stuff. So I'll just stop right there. I will point out just a couple of other things. If you want to take a look, first of all, at our state courses, definitely check that out. You might be surprised to find that there are courses set up for your state. So definitely take a look. Hour of Code, I completely believe Hour of Code is meant for more than 1 week out of the year. Take a look at the Hour of Code courses. I know several people who actually use Hour of Code in middle school rotations for their middle school computer science courses. So many fun activities here. There are also interdisciplinary courses. We firmly believe that coding is a foundational skill and it should be integrated in everything. And so we are creating those kind of courses here. And what an awesome way to get kids engaged in coding through music or sports, coding explorations in art, creating virtual worlds. So these are an amazing grouping of shorter courses. Notice 20 contact hours. I think one was 40. So you've got a lot of flexibility to use these or bring these to other teachers who might be interested in trying them out. There's some Spanish.
The VR course, if I can jump in, the VR course is fabulous. The VR course is really, really good. And at the end, there's a fuller VR course. The students create amazing stuff that they can show off to family and friends in the school. And it looks like they're just, yeah, it's amazing. The VR course is awesome. So.
Thank you for adding that, Eric. That is one of my favorites. Every time I see it, I think I'm still surprised at how amazing it is. So definitely check it out. Under new, you'll actually see some of our newest courses. There's that Roblox course. I know we have a lot of Roblox fans. In the last workshop I was in, somebody said, please stop saying Roblox. I think you're triggering my kids. They want to play. So check out the Roblox course. That's one of our newest. Data science is one of my favorites. I love Python, and for some reason I love data, but you can do so much with it. There's so many career opportunities. So take a look at data science. Here's that intro to AI. We've got coding. There's some of our hour of code stuff, the newer ones. So definitely, oh, how could I forget one of my favorites, one of my new favorites, digital art with P5JS. Love P5JS. We've done a ton of workshops on these, and I know we're going to do more. I would highly, highly recommend checking this out if you're looking for another fun way to get kids really hooked on coding. This is really engaging and a really good graphics-based way to get into coding. So there's that. The AP courses, you can also filter by that. And you can see all of the courses we have available there. Let's see. Okay, so that's our catalog. Let me jump back out to the slides somewhere. Here we go. So as you're thinking about this and looking at all those courses, you might be very new to CodeHS and thinking, holy smokes, Lori, that's a lot of courses. How do I pick? Start thinking about what your goals are. Are you looking for an introductory computer science course? Do you want it to focus on programming? Some people kind of giggle a little bit when they hear that, but we have a ton of courses that don't necessarily have a programming focus. Cybersecurity, for instance, we have fundamentals of cyber, we have advanced cybersecurity as well, and so many other courses like that. Computing ideas is one of those that will focus on a broad range of computer science topics. So, there certainly might be something else other than programming that you want to expose your kids to. And also the difficulty. Do you need advanced topics? Maybe your kids have gone through some introductory courses and you're looking for something more advanced. Data science would be one of those more advanced courses if your kids have gone through Python, and they're pretty good at that. Definitely also Intro to AI is another one that uses Python as the main language, and that could be another one you could take a look at. Also be thinking about how much time do you have for your courses? Do you have a quarter? Maybe you only meet every other day. Maybe you're working with middle school kids or even upper level elementary students, 4th and 5th grade. I've used the platform with those kids as well. Maybe it's a semester course, year long, but think about timing, because remember, in the catalog, you will see the contact hours here and the time frame suggested. You'll see that we have courses broken down into units, quarters, year-long classes, semester, and it's super customizable, which Erik will show you in a little bit. Also, do you want block coding? We do have a few courses that can utilize block coding. Those would be the Carol courses. HTML does allow block, although it's not allowed with CSS, I believe. And then there was another one out there as well. But it's mainly restricted to those. I will say there's times when I think I'm going to start with block coding, and my students turn it off before I ever did. So it's kind of hit or miss. Block coding it's not text-based. So rather than actually typing the code like you did in those sample activities that Erik had us do, you would actually drag and drop blocks. It's if you use Scratch, that is block coding. Yeah, drag and drop. Let's see. And also standards. Do you have any standards that you need to meet for your state? That's kind of hit or miss depending on the state that you're in. But if there are standards, we have a ton of standards framework tools that you can actually use. And all of our 6 through 12 pathway courses are aligned to CSTA standards. And speaking of that, look how timely that was. It was like I planned it or something. We do have a 6 through 12 course pathway. And we have a couple of links on this slide that will be helpful for you to take a look at. The one is just the link to the course catalog. But then we also have a link to show the suggested 6 through 12 course pathway that we've put together. And you can see here, we start with 6th grade with an intro to programming with Carol the dog. And this is an abbreviated course with Carol. It's called the ACE flavor. And you can start with that, or maybe intro to Python with Tracy. I love Python and I love using Tracy. I think that's another really accessible way to get kids into coding. And this goes into some other things like web design, computing ideas. Here's that great course, creative computing. And then by the time we hit 9th grade, we're looking at the full-fledged course, Intro to Computer Science and JavaScript. That's that very first one that we see on the CodeHS course catalog page. We have web design again, but this one is the Picasso version. This one is going to be a little bit more ramped up. I've taught with this one, and it's an awesome course. It includes some Bootstrap in it. Absolutely love it. Here's that intro to VR, intro to computer science in Python 3. And then we go into some of those APCSP or AP courses like APCSP and AP Computer Science A, and other things like fundamentals of cybersecurity and mobile apps. Now, this pathway might not work exactly perfect for you. You might want to start fundamentals of cybersecurity at an earlier time, and then move into the advanced cybersecurity. I love cyber, and all those lessons are just amazing. I think those are some of the most engaging things for kids and some of the most relevant for kids as they're thinking about job opportunities. So definitely a lot to think about here, but this might be a place to get you started. And when you're thinking in terms of which course to choose, one of the reasons I do like to point this out, the 6 through 12 course pathways, it will help you narrow down your options. And keep in mind that we ensure that our 6 through 12 course pathway is going to have standards mapped to the CSTA standards mapping. And you'll be able to see that framework here. We have a lot of information on standards and how we map those standards to our courses. So don't hesitate to reach out if you need more information on that. And definitely take a look at those state courses, because you might be surprised to find out that we have a course created for your state. So anytime you can take a look at that course catalog. We've already taken a look at it. I got very ahead of myself, so we already looked, but you can browse out to codehs.com/course/catalog anytime to go ahead and view that. Do we have any questions so far about that? And because I really just don't like having my video off, I'm going to go ahead and try to turn it back on. There we go. And we'll see. CodeHS team or Erik, if I start getting laggy, tell me and I'll go ahead and shut that back off again. I apologize. I'm a little bit scratchy today. So if you've been in a workshop with me before, you'll think she doesn't sound like that. I do when it's hay fever season. So here we are. All right. So in our next section, I'm going to take us through one more component today before I hand this back over to Erik. One of the things we want to make sure you leave this workshop with is that you feel like you would actually be able to start working with CodeHS if you would like to do that. And whether you are a free or a pro teacher, you can absolutely set up courses and sections and actually enroll students in those sections starting day one. You do not have to be a pro teacher to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you have an idea about where to start with that. And so we're going to go through a little demo here. So first of all, I'm going to clarify something. You're going to be hearing two terms here. You're going to be hearing the term course, and you're going to be hearing the term section. So the difference between these two terms is that a course is where we are going to hold all of that curriculum, or like we see here on the screen, it's a sequence of curriculum that your students will work through. The courses are going to be made up of the assignments. So all of that material that you see in those courses as you browse the course catalog, that's the curriculum. That's what goes into the course. Now, the section itself is actually going to be where we enroll our students. So those are the group of students who will work on a course. So the way I like to think about it is the course is like my textbook. That's where I'm going to put that content. The section or sections are going to be where I house my groups of students. So if I teach, say, three sections of Intro to CS in Python, I could make 3 sections and attach them to one course. So I hope that helps clarify that a little bit. So at this point, what I'm going to do is actually walk away from these slides. You'll have access to the slides, but I'm going to head out to my platform and I'm going to take a look at how to actually create and how to get started creating a course and a section. So when you first sign into CodeHS, what many people think is, oh, I can create a section right here. Now you can technically do that, but the workflow that we're going to suggest is a little bit different. We are going to have you start by creating a course. Now, keep in mind, this is really the first time or a one-time process, or at least a beginning of your process. So I'm preparing to teach for the new school year or maybe summer school. I'm going to set up a course. So I'm going to come over to the navigation bar on the left-hand side of the screen, and I'm going to click courses. And I feel myself getting a little laggy, so we're just going to rectify that right now. And I'm going to see if I can go ahead and shut that video off again. So I think I'm a little bit better when I do that. Bear with me one second. There we go. Okay. So now you're going to see here that Lori has a ton of courses. It's totally okay that you're not going to see that number of courses in yours right now. That list will grow as you continue to teach with CodeHS. So the way I start is I come up here to this little text box on the top where it says create new course. I'm going to start by adding or putting in the name for my course. Now, if you don't like the name you choose, that's okay. You can add a new name later or edit that name later. So I'm going to call this course Intro to CS in Python. I'll go ahead and stick with the Python. And I'm going to add my name behind it. And why not? Let's put the school year too. This will help keep me organized. Whatever naming format you want is just fine with us. And remember, you can change that. Now I'm going to click create new course. And what it's doing now behind the scenes is it's actually going to be letting us choose how we want to create our course. First of all, we could start from scratch. So we could actually create a completely empty course where we can set it all up ourselves after the fact. Eric, did you just say you created a course yourself too? Or did I mishear that? Okay, that's what I thought. So a lot of teachers actually do this. This is how you can create some really cool stuff. There's actually one of our other teacher trainers too, who has created another course for the Hidden Figures movie. You can do a ton of things here. So we're going to start with use a CodeHS template. So when I click on choose course template, it takes me to the list that we saw from the catalog. If I know which course, I can simply search for it, or I can scroll through and find it. This is why you want to find your course before you get to this point. Since I want Python, I see it right here. So I'm going to move my mouse over and click it. Now, behind the scenes, we are actually making a copy of all of that Python 3 content for you. That's going to be an important fact because what's actually happening is you have your own copy. So that means you can customize it. So you might have seen a very brief yellow highlight. It created that new course. If you see that you have an ever-growing list of courses, you can always sort. We're going to bring the newest to the top. This is the newest course that I've created, Intro to CS in Python. Now, if I zoom in just a little bit, you'll see I have no sections. Right now, this is just the course with the content. So if I mouse over to the right, I can view the assignments in this course. I could change the course settings. I can also create a new section. So from the right-hand side on this little icon that sort of looks like an easel, I'm going to click on create a new section. Now this starts another wizard. And here is where I can choose a name for my new section. Now, if you are a Google Classroom teacher and you have those sections set up, you can click this. I'm going to go ahead and create it from scratch. I'm going to call this period 7. And let's go ahead and add the school year. There we go. I can change that name later too. Now I can click on create. And there we go. That is how fast that one created because it's an empty section. We didn't have to copy anything into it. Now at this point, I could add another section. Maybe I have a period 4 or period 3, but for now, I'm going to click view section. I'm going to grab a quick drink of water while that goes to the section. There we go. Now, this opened directly into my section. If I wanted to, I could go back to the sections page. And I do that by clicking on this link on the left-hand side. And you'll see here, there is my period 7. So to get to it from the section page, I just click on the name. And it takes me into the section. Here's the link that students will use to enroll in this section. So they'll use the exact same strategy that you use to enroll in our workshop section. And from there, I'll be able to view all of the assignments that are included in this course, just like this. So I hope that helped. Let me see if I'm missing anything here. Yeah, we've broken down all the steps in the slides. You will absolutely have access to these slides. So if you want to go back to it and take a look at how to do any of that, you definitely can. And the CodeHS team is always here to answer questions too. Erik, do you think I missed anything there?
I think we're good.
Excellent.
Actually, as we transition, are you ready for me to pick up here?
You bet. Absolutely. I'll stop sharing.
Very good. I want to echo the cybersecurity course that Lori was talking about is that I use for enrichment. Whenever I have students who are racing ahead, past the rest of my students, they finished a unit much faster than I have them do the cybersecurity, and they love it. And it's exactly what Lori was talking about. It's the very practical side of things. And students who might have just some inkling of what they want to do in the future, they get into the cybersecurity. And it's almost like I get a twofer with that one class. And it might be a third of my students who will complete not only the intro to coding, this is a semester-long course, but also the majority, if not all, of the cybersecurity course as well, just because it's so good. And you have to pick your poison. I think someone put in the chat, which APCSP course do you do? Do you Python, JavaScript, or cybersecurity? And the bad news is you can't do all 3 of them. The good news is they're all really, really good. I happen to do the JavaScript one. I've gone through the Python one. It's great. The cybersecurity one, I think, is pretty new. And if I ever have time, I might switch to it because I know my students love that so much. The next little bit we're going to talk about is if you are in a course, you've created the course, you've made your sections, all the great flexibility that CodeHS has within the course for the teacher to make modifications. Now, as a warning, I will tell you, do this wisely because CodeHS also has wonderful syllabi they have created, and those are all directly in order. And so while I do this, I usually tag things towards the end of the course and in pretty big chunks, even though I'm not going to use the whole chunk, just so the syllabus, they don't brush up against each other too much, and I can follow, and I can, maybe if I'm talking to a parent about the order of the course, they can see what's going on. But there are great flexibilities. So within a course, you can take any of these modules and just slide them up and down within the course. I do this most often in my AP classes, where if I've added some of the AP review assignments, I can go and put them in the order I want, whether they're reviewing for the multiple choice questions or they're prepping for the exam create task or something like that. Now, the other thing you can do is just come in here, remove content. And if you look at the example, you would click on the lesson or the course, and it literally has a little trash can remove button just to remove it altogether. That is something I don't do. I might have a student skip over it. I may leave it for enrichment, but I rarely just remove a piece altogether. But it's very easy to do. Someone else in chat asked about where do I see the lesson plans? Sorry to do an aside here, but on this screen right now, if you were to look on the right side, let's see here, where it says variables at the top, on the right-hand side, there's a little maroon button. That maroon button, if you click on that, that brings you to all the lesson plans and drops you into all the information you might need to do. So there you go. Now, add assignment. This is what I'm most guilty of. This is what my students will say, oh, really, we finished the course and now there's 10 units to go. I add lots of assignments to the intro to coding. I add the full VR class. So we do the JavaScript Carol. Then we do for the second quarter of that semester, second half of the semester, so quarter of the school year, we do the VR course. That's a full course I add. In AP classes, I add test review. I add the create the performance task, extra assignments and practices. There are two in particular I'm a huge fan of, testing 1, 2, 3, and shopping list, which I feel rocket my students right into success for the performance task. And then Lori advertised for me a series of lessons I've created called Indiana Carol. This is kind of gamification of coding, where I've taken the Ultra Carol environment and I've created a little role-playing game world for our little puppy dog Carol. He goes to his backyard, he starts digging around, he finds a piece of treasure. What am I going to do with this treasure? Then he falls into the rabbit hole, as it were, and there's monsters and bats and deadly things, and he's got to code his way out of there and get back home. Chapter 2 just got started a couple weeks ago, so I've updated that. I try to make that harder coding. I do that with the kids at the end of a class, something like that. But I do a lot of assignment adding. Some of the adding is supplemental materials specifically made for a course. Some may be other course assignments, and you could just borrow one exact lesson from that and insert it where you want it to go. It could be an hour of code piece you want to add. It could be seasonally related. It can be topically created, related. There's all kinds of things to add. Get to know that catalog, and there'll be amazing things you can pull in. Here's an example of, so if we're in the CSA class, you can click on other courses, add them, and boom, then they go straight into the course. Recursion. We always want to do more recursion. Stop it. No, you know you love recursion. Okay, and then here's create your own adding on modules. This is this Indiana Carol I talked about. If you come here to the top, there's this, if you look at the top here, there's this sandbox button. When you go into sandbox, let me just see if I can do that real quick with you. You come into sandbox here. When you come in, so here is a bunch of stuff that I have made, where I have expanded the testing 1, 2, 3 lesson to give my students more work with testing 1, 2, 3. Tic-tac-toe I stole from someone. Here's Indiana Carol's CSP practice, all stuff I've created so I can push into classes right there. It's pretty easy to do. I forget if it was MR or Ebony, one of them I was picking on this spring because I had a student create a great class in Sandbox, a great Indiana Carol extension, and I wanted to steal it for future classes, and it was a little harder than I want, and so I'm begging CodeHS to add a little functionality for me, mainly because I'm lazy. I pulled it out, but yeah. So So lessons, okay, so I'm sorry, let me go back a step here. Full modules could be created, and that's what Indiana Carroll is. And then within those modules, you can bring in individual lessons. So individual modules can be expanded through those things as well. Now, teacher tools and resources. This is, we had a little conversation, pro versus free. I'm one of those people who I am blessed to have some pro classes. I use pro for my AP classes. I use pro for my game design class, and I use pro for some of the intro to computer programming classes. I use free like crazy for many of my other classes that I teach, where I want a piece of it. Web design. I want a piece of the web design class. I will take a piece and we'll enter and do that, but I don't do the pro version of that. Just I'm not using the whole course. I'm just using a little snippet. I can cover my bases with that. And so you will see that some of the features we're about to talk about here are free features and some are pro. All the classes are freely available from beginning to end, and all can be completely taught in the free version. Mainly what pro does is just ease the smoothness of some of the teaching. And so there was one class last fall I was teaching that I had in pro version, and I just wrote up to my rep and said, you know what? I don't need the pro version for this. Can you just switch me back to free? And I'm going to use this class to do the pro version because I want to make that one easier. This one's a breeze for me. And sure enough, I think I was in the middle of October and she was fine. And she just switched. One became free, one became pro, and I just kept going. So that's possible as well. Conversations is a great place. It's where you can communicate with the students. We've talked about this before, and they can talk back to you. In fact, if I show you live here, right here, in this little area right here, is this little graphic. If a student has reached out to you, a little blue dot will appear on that screen, right that spot. And I was saying to Lori, when I'm at my computer here, I start my day, I get onto CodeHS and I look, do I have the blue dot? Because if I have a blue dot, that means one or more students has reached out to me with some type of disaster in their coding and they need my help, and I'll go straight to the blue dot to help them as best I can. Here, this is a little conversation tab. You can go straight to the student. The previous one, this is within the coding itself. This is if you're actually looking at a student and you can come in and you can click and have this conversation. This right here, I don't know if we've talked about this 7%, 87% little progress tracker. Those are really nice for the students. My students love to watch them progress through a class. They love to finish a course. And this little goes right through here as well. Announcements. This is if you want to give something to this course as a whole. This is actually newer to me. This wasn't around when I first started. I love this now. I can click on that. Makes it nice for distance learning, if we're going to be online, or if I'm going to be absent, I can just broadcast right out to the class right there. Progress tracking, amazing abilities with this. And this also ties in a little bit to the grading here. You can look how they complete an assignment and what portions and to what degree. Have they opened it? Have they done portions of it? Have they submitted it? Have they submitted it and it's been graded? You can do that for an entire lesson, and it'll show the portion of a lesson or a module they've completed. Within the grading itself, you can select specifically the quizzes and look only at their quiz results. I find that most helpful in my upper level courses, just to make sure where our competencies are. What do I need to go back and maybe point out again to my students? It's sad to say I was doing that this spring with my CSP class, and I was looking at their progress, and we all failed the ethics portion. And I was like, ladies, I came to class the next day, I said, what is going on? Why are we struggling with ethics in this course? Let's pause. Computing ethics, we have a big problem going on here. Time tracking is great. you'll be able to see the kid who took 60 minutes to complete the code and the kid who took 2 minutes to complete the code. And it sometimes make you go, why is this so quick? Or it might say, that's great. This kid is really got it. And this kid, I need to figure out what took him so long. Let me just move this out of my way here. Oh, the history we talked about, where you can go back through the history of their code and watch their progress. This is part of the making sure the students aren't cheating. This was 2 years ago. I had a student who was really struggling, came into class the next day, and all of a sudden her code was magically correct. And I thought, what happened overnight that she went from not knowing where to begin this to having it all done? And so I went back to the history and saw that from one step to the next, she went from having no code done to all her code done within the matter of like 3 minutes. And then we had to have the hard conversation. We can't do this. By the way, if you're looking, all the answers are on Quizlet. All the answers to every question ever in every textbook are magically on Quizlet right now. So love it or hate it, it's all there. So just so you know, Quizlet's out there. Code review. I believe this is where you can go. This is the communications they can give you, where they've reached out to you and you can reach out to the students and explain what's going on. You could see the little color dots here that show their progress as they've been going through. This can make you see just one whole section, see everything they're doing all at once, and go back and just make sure that their code is going to be correct. In fact, you can see up here, here are the questions. Here's what they've submitted. Here's where you can jump into the grade book and just see what's going on next. Grade mode. Now I want to show you, this is grade mode. And then right after that, is going to be fast grade. So fast grade is our pro tool and grade mode is a free feature. Either way you can grade them. I will tell you that fast grade is indeed fast. Okay, but if you go into grade mode, you can go look at their code, and here it says give full credit. That's an auto button that just gives them full credit, or you can go give them a 4 out of 5 or a 9 out of 10, whatever it might be. This is where the colors of those dots come into play. I often say to students that yellow dot means it's incomplete. And I tell them, you can be incomplete and still get that dream A. That may just mean that you've done the code differently or better, or you're this close away, you have one punctuation mark syntactically wrong. And that the editor, the auto editor is just saying, no, you haven't gotten past it. Equally, I tell them, you can get a green dot and not have an A. The green dot does not mean you're good. It just means you tricked the code editor into thinking you've done it correctly. And I'll go back in. I also make my students thoroughly comment their codes, and I go back and read their comments. And so greens and yellows, I say, are not the end all and be all of what we're going through. Fast grade makes it so you could go through each student very, very quickly. You can jump out and look at their code, run their code, I should say, right here. Here you'll be able to see their code. Here's the solution right there. You can quickly look at it. You can then edit the values of their grade they get right here and leave them a message to explain what did they miss. In my Indiana Carol, for example, I tell them you have to have a for loop that's exactly 9 long. If you do 10, boom, not as much credit. And you can just put in your little messages, you can grade them. And then this little button right here makes you jump to the next students. And I will tell you, yeah, here's your progress bar. Graded 1, I've looked at 3, there's 14 people who have still yet to turn it in, is what this means right here. And yeah, it's pretty nice. Can't tell a lie. That's a pretty nice feature. So then here is the grade book itself. The grade book is very powerful. In fact, I do all of my grading for all of my full CodeHS classes right here, and separately then transport them into my Power School. I don't do anything in Power School for these courses. I got permission to do that. Here you can see the green for awesome completion, the gray for not having looked at, the yellow for partway through, the pink for they've done something and I said, no, go back and do more work on it. It shows you what they've earned out of what they could have earned and their grades right here. I can't show you this because it's my own students, but the other thing, I'm sorry, here it is on the right-hand side. Also, you can edit what portions you want to see. I usually do the quizzes in one segment to look at, and then I will do exercises, challenges, and free responses as a separate section. And you can edit out what do you want your grade book to look like. So for example, I don't give any grading credit for someone who's watched the video. That is a minimum expectation. You're not getting any value. I'm not grading you on that. If you've looked at the example, unless I've done something special with it, I'm not giving you any credit for that either. I would give them credit only for certain items that would then turn into the grade that gets transferred to the grade book. But this is really great to look at. You can watch the progress. You'll see the kid who, this is my brother's name. That's really kind of weird. That they really fast through here and gotten all the greens, and the kid who may have been absent a few days. So now, this section here, this grading setting, what we have here is, am I grading it, or am I going to be graded by the built-in CodeHS grader? You can also go in here, and I believe this is where you can also change the settings of the modules. So maybe there's a due date for the modules. They can be locked and unlocked. And the other feature you can do is copy paste. That's it. The copy paste feature can be modified right here. And I turn that off periodically, sometimes just to let students know how much they're using it, so they can be aware. And sometimes it's a cheating prevention, but I will tweak that in this section. So copy paste, deadlines, and how the grading is going to go right here. Here are these lesson plans. The lesson plans that you pre-read all of the videos, all of the examples. They give you keywords, vocabulary that we need to know for this specific portion. Let me wait till it shows you. So here's our objective. Here's the activities that we're doing that you could preview. Here's the answers and problem guides, keywords that we're going to need to know. The handouts, which can be very handy. There's a teacher version who has the answers, the student version you can make copies of. And then down here, it gives you little bell ringers and discussions. So if you need any help kind of getting the class greased for that section, they have all this in the lesson plans for you right here. And also teaching strategies, learning strategies, all really helpful things. And this is new, special education modification and the different modifications. Those are new to me. Those have been very helpful. All of this section over the last 2 years, when we've dipped in and out of online learning, and sometimes you pull your hair out thinking, what can I do next? These have been nice to pull. In fact, this fall, we had one of those magical internet-free teaching experiences. Have you ever had one of those as a CS teacher? Nothing better than coming into a CS class and finding out we're going to be internet-free today. And the good news is, if you prepped a little bit in CodeHS, you go, boom, worksheet, here we go. And the kids all think they're going to get free that day. You're like, no, guess what? We can code offline too. Here we go. So these lesson plans are right for that. I had 2 internet-free days this year. Those are always a joy. Yeah, here's some of these worksheets right here that you can pass out to the students. The binary lesson is very helpful for those of you who got to teach binary. To the kids who just don't understand what binary is going on, their binary lesson is very good. So I've come into my time for this. I want to say I became a CodeHS certified educator. Nothing more awesome. I have a t-shirt, free t-shirt right underneath here, bragging about that right here. I've attended too many of their workshops, and the micro credentials are new, and we're doing those things right now. I am a huge fan. And just one last embarrassment piece. So MR, I got to meet for the first time today, even though MR and I have had a close personal relationship these many years, because MR has helped me on many occasions. So I am in the presence of greatness today that I get to meet MR for the first time. So very good. So thank you all for coming today. This has been wonderful. And I know that you will love CodeHS as much as I do. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Eric. I love that you just did that to MR too. She deserves it. She's amazing. So I love it. Thank you so much, Eric. I felt like this time just flew past. You gave us so much good information, and we so appreciate everything that you shared with us today. I think it's so valuable to hear from other teachers, and especially really dedicated teachers like Eric, who are doing some really amazing things with their kids. So thank you again, Eric. This was great. This particular slide, Eric, keep sharing for me for a little bit, if you would, and I'll have you flip through a couple things.
Yep.
Definitely check into that CodeHS Certified Educator Program. I'll send out some information about that in a follow-up email. We have way more workshops coming this summer. We have another, 20-ish posted right now. And Eric's is the first. He is kicking off our summer series. So thank you again, Eric. But you can view our upcoming workshops at codehs.com/freepd. And we have 3 of them coming up next week. We have Intro to Python on Tuesday, Intro to JS, let me rephrase that. Teaching Intro to Python on Tuesday, teaching Intro to JS on Wednesday, and Microbit, teaching physical computing with Microbit on Thursday. So I'll make sure you have that link as well. If you have not joined the CodeHS Facebook Educators group, I highly recommend you race out there to join it. It's a very active group, a lot of fun, really good group of teachers. Eric, go ahead and go to the next slide for me. Oh, and one other quick little announcement. We are starting a brand new project, and this one is a little bit different, but we always do like to announce this. We are beginning to get started with elementary curriculum. So elementary computer science curriculum. Now, because this is super new, it is limited to district implementations. If this is something that your district might be interested in, definitely show them this information. We have more information link right here on the screen and an interest form if your district might be interested. So I did want to throw that out there as well. Let's go to the next slide. All right, and our workshop survey is the next thing. We would love for you all, just please take a moment, fill out our workshop survey by browsing to codehs.com/workshop survey. This survey is also linked in Eric's workshop course or in the workshop section. So you can fill it out there if you're in the workshop. But take a moment, tell us how we did, and tell us what else you'd like to see from us. We absolutely thrive on your feedback, and we want to be able to bring you the most timely information that you need or what you're looking for to find success in your classroom. So let us know how we did. We absolutely appreciate your time on that. And I think that might be the last slide. It is. Just one last important thing. Thank you. We all know that it's been a year. It's been quite the year for all of you. And some of you are probably still in school. Eric is about to start summer, I think. So woohoo. And some of you might have a little ways to go yet. Wherever you're at in your schedule, know that we absolutely appreciate all of you. Teachers make the world work. And it's because of you that we have successful kids and a successful society. So never underestimate your importance and your value. So thank you. We appreciate you. And we are here for you to help make your life easier however we can. So never hesitate to reach out to us. You'll have our contact information in the follow-up email that I send. Expect that tomorrow by end of day. I'll get that out as fast as I can, but you'll have it before the weekend. And thank you. Eric, thank you. Thank all of you for attending, and see you at the next CodeHS workshop. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful day.